Right. So today we are going to discuss about the business analysis role in context to the telecommunications domain, telecom domain. Because as we all guys know that business analysis is all about understanding the requirements for any of the customer, providing subsequent solutions to them is what something which being a BA we do that. So being a business analyst, we know we act as a liaison between business and technical communities and all that. So hence being a business analyst, our major responsibility is to liaise between two different people. One is about the functional people. I'm talking about stakeholders and all that. So to interact with the technical team is what something which being a business analyst we do, right? So if you can understand about the role of a business analyst, it more specific. Yeah, I'm just sharing the screen to you, right? So here you can see, this is where generally the role of a business analyst will be. If you can see over here, being a business analyst, we are interacting with the stakeholders, gathering the requirements, try to understand the kind of business problem they are going to face, all that. Subsequently, whatever the problem were identified, providing solutions with the help of technical team is what something we do. In this process, when we are interacting with the technical team, we need to come up with some technical roadmap, which normally architects will be taken care of. Of course, that's not something relating to the role of a business analyst, but interacting with the technical architect by providing some non-functional requirements will also be given, because how the application should perform, scalability, security, load balancing, fault tolerancing, right? So all these things comes under the non-functional perspective. These non-functional requirements we have to provide to the solution architect team, all that. So whatever the solution are they developing, whether it can be a solution, maybe it can be a high level solution or low level, and everything will be done by the technical architects. So subsequently, technical team will develop the application and finally we deliver it to the customer. In specific, if you see, the role of a business analyst is all about this. Now, today we are discussing about how it is different from the telecom sector. Because across the world, telecommunications or telecom sector is one of the important sector in any industry, in any country, because telecommunications, nothing but communicating among people, communicating among departments, communicating among organizations and all. There is a communication system which was developed, either it can be of any other form, either to mobile direct calling, or it can be through WhatsApp. Nowadays, we are transforming our communication system, right? So sharing some images, sharing some videos, or conducting some meetings across virtually. At the same time, doing some WhatsApp calls, right? So this is how generally the telecommunication sector, which is penetrated extensively in any organization or in any places. Because to have a communication among the people, either it can be individuals or it can be organizations, it can be business units, it can be of any larger entities and all. Telecommunication sector is one of the key and prominent sector. Now, if you can see here, because as you guys are enrolled for business analyst in context to the telecom sector and domain, as we all know, there is some skill set which being a business analyst we must be good with in context to the telecom part. Because normally whatever the common skill set being a business analyst you must be good with is all something anyway known with. Because as you guys know, when it comes to the knowledge areas of BA, let me write down here. Just take it. Give me a second. Right. So this is where you can see the knowledge areas of business analyst is more important. First thing, being a business analyst, we must be good with some knowledge areas. The knowledge areas as it was prescribed by the certification body, like because by IABA certification body and all, people whoever wants to become a business analyst should have some experience in business analysis, planning and monitoring, which was the first one. This is one knowledge area. So this is majorly focusing on how to analyze the business, how to do business analysis, governance, stakeholder engagement. At the same time, how business requirement management will be taken space, performance improvements. All these things comes under business analysis, planning and monitoring. Yeah. Next was elicitation and collaboration. Means how you are going to elicitate the requirements. How you are going to illustrate the requirements, what are the different JAT sessions are we going to conduct, and how are we going to conduct, right? What is the approach are we going to follow? All these things are comes under illustration and collaboration. The next was about enterprise or strategy analysis. Because earlier, if you see, when we come to the role of a business analyst and all, it is confined only to the enterprise segment. Enterprise understanding over the enterprise is what something which earlier it was. But now it was moved to an extent possible. Yeah, so it was moved to an extent possible now. Understanding the strategy of the organization is required. Let's say, let me put you this from the telecommunication side. Let's say you are developing a solution for any telecommunications giants or the organizations. When you are providing a solutions for them, it's always important for you to understand what kind of strategy they want to implement to increase their performance or increasing their business activities in coming days. So understanding over the strategy is one of the key and important element apart from enterprises and all everything we must be good with. So understanding about the strategy, business strategy, right? So you need to know about the business goals, objectives, needs, scope, at the same time vision statement, right? So mission statement, understanding the overall business situations of the organization in context to the telecommunications. So this sort of understanding is required. So to define the business case or assessing the capability gaps, defining the solution scope and approach, defining the business case. All these things are comes under enterprise and strategy analysis. Being a BA, we must be good with. Next, we must be good with requirement lifecycle management. Because requirement lifecycle management majorly focusing on how you are going to manage the requirements, means how you are going to trace the requirements. At the same time, how you are going to validate the requirements, how you are assessing the solution, changing of requirements, how you are communicating it, how you are tracing the requirements. This is all something comes under requirement lifecycle management, which we must be good with. Next, we need to have a knowledge over requirement analysis and design definition. Means how you are going to analysis requirement, because requirements are something of different types, because requirements will be of different types and all that. So being a business analyst, understanding the requirements analysis and design definition is also one of the key and prominent element we have to be good with. So once requirement analysis and design definition come into picture, the next was so design definition come with. Next one about solution assessment and validation. Means how you are going to validate the solution. Means what are the solution are we going to provide? Because we come up with multiple solutions, right? So we don't come up with single solution. We come up with multiple solutions. So how you are going to confirm the solution you have given was right? Because multiple solutions sometimes we come up with. So among that, which one is something amicable? Because by understanding the feasibility, either it can be budget level issues, it can be timeline, it can be complexity in terms of the technicalities is concerned, or it can be requirements from a high level node. So understanding solution assessment and validation is also one of the key and important element. So these are the knowledge areas. So if you are a business analyst, whenever we are working for a telecom perspective, or usually as a business analyst, these are the knowledge areas anyway you must be good with. I am not specifying this only for telecom sector. Okay, because these are the common knowledge areas which if anybody wants to pursue their career in the business analysis, so these knowledge areas are required. Next, when it comes to the technical skills, right? So what does mean by technical skills? Because as you know, we are going to develop technical application, because technical solution is what something which normally we are providing. Because even though human intervention is involved in any organization to manage with. This is not something performing manual operations. Okay, so any application, any organizations we are working on, everything is a technology, right? So everything is an application. So when we want to become a business analyst, especially technical business analyst roles, to be clear with you, if you want to become a technical analyst, business analyst, or else even in the sector of telecom domain, even in telecom, because telecom domain is domain specific. But end of the day, when you are providing a solution, ultimately you need to be aligned with some technology, right? So that is important. So first of all, we must be knowing about the integration process, because how the integration process is happening. Because sometimes some applications they wants to integrate with different other applications and all. So integration process and all, everything is required here. At the same time, we must be having a knowledge over the data resources, data mapping, right? How the data transformation is taken place. At the same time, we should have a knowledge over ETL process, because extracting the data, transforming the data, loading the data, all that stuff. At the same time, we must be having in context to the telecom sector, telecom and API combination, if I can say, right? So telecom and API combination, we must be knowing about different APIs which are using in telecom. So telecom APIs is what something which we must be good with, right? So telecom APIs is what something we must be good with. At the same time, when we are working on deeper into the technical sector and all that, we need to know about what are the different file formats we use, something like XML, right? So we need to have a knowledge over JSON, because these are the different file formats we use. Apart from the PDF files or Word files and all, there are different file formats, HTML file formats, XML, JSON. At the same time, we must be having an understanding about web services also, right? So we need to have a knowledge over web services. Right. So web service is what something which we must be good with, right? So web services and all everything which is required here. At the same time, we need to have an understanding over integration part in context to the messaging based as well. At the same time, when it comes to the telecom APIs, when we talk about APIs and all, application performance integrations, all that, when we talk about APIs and all, there are two different APIs or 2 to 3 different APIs we are using. One is HTTP or SOAP. Okay, any one I can say, right? So either it can be RESTful, right? So different APIs we have. So different APIs and all everything is what something which we have to be known with, right? So telecom APIs, what are the different telecom APIs are we going to use? So that sort of understanding is also required. Some REST SOAP APIs, simple object access protocols. So this sort of understanding is also required. So if you want to become a technical business analyst, and technical business analyst maybe in context to the telecom domain, having some knowledge over this. So these are the technical skill sets. Apart from that, SQL, okay, because SQL is a common and basic structured query language, which normally required for any business analyst to write some queries and all everything. So this is something which they wants to be good with. So these are the technical skill sets. Being a business analyst, we must be good with when it comes to the role of a business analyst from the domain perspective, technical perspective. Next, after that, the next one about the functional skills. What is meant by functional skills? This is where generally telecom segment come into picture. Means when when you're trying to understand about the telecom sector, as far as the functional skills are concerned, right? So as far as the functional skills from the context of telecommunication and all that, so we should have a knowledge over catalog configuration, because how these catalogs will be configured and all everything is what something we must be knowing. At the same time, as I already stated in the technical skills, like whatever the integration process and all everything in the telecom sector and all everything, this is also required. At the same time, we must be knowing about the customer data as well, right? So what are the different customer data are we going to use? At the same time, we should have a knowledge over billing and payments. So especially in context to the telecommunication side I'm talking about. At the same time, whatever the resource inventory and as well as provisioning systems are we going to use? This is also something which we have to be known with. Along with that, when it comes to the telecommunication from the core perspective and all, so we must be knowing about the telecom process. What are the different telecom processes, because how telecommunication system or how the telecom process works and all everything is what something we have to know. At the same time, we must be knowing about the guidelines and standards. Okay, this is again different from country to country, because whatever, of course, the basic standards and guidelines which telecommunication sector follows, irrespective of the country, remains constant. That never changes. But country to country, based upon the policies, standards, procedures, and all that, whatever the guidelines they follow, whatever the standards they are going to follow, and all everything. So that sort of understanding is also required. So this is also you are going to learn on that, right? Because you must be knowing about the process of telecom. You must be knowing about what are the different guidelines and standards, all that. At the same time, we must be having an idea over ITMT. At the same time, ETOM, followed by the kind of frameworks, what is that we are going to use, right? So what are the different frameworks we are using, something like SID or TAM, right? So this sort of understanding is also one of the key and prominent element when we have to be good with when it comes to the yeah. So when it comes to the functional skills and all everything is concerned in context to the telecom domain, all that. At the same time, we must be knowing about data networks as well from the functional side, data networks and all. At the same time, from the networking perspective, because telecommunications is majorly focuses on a networking side, something like TCP/IP. At the same time, we must be having an idea over OSR layers and models, right? So OSR layers and models and all everything is required. Followed by this, we must be having an understanding, deep understanding, because from the application perspective, there is an application which normally widely we used across telecommunication industries called customer ordering system. Okay, customer ordering system. This is what generally one of the key application we will be using. At the same time, there are different billings like Amdocs billings and all everything we will be using here. So this is also one of the key element we need to know about. At the same time, as I already mentioned about the billing part earlier, when you talk about billing, it can be offline billing, or it can be porting payments, right? So customer care, or else it can be of data mapping. At the same time, we need to have a knowledge over code, which is, of course, I can focus this and I can put it on the technical skills, some understanding over code part. At the same time, whatever the TDS billings and all everything happens. At the same time, we must have an understanding over work order management system, how this work order management system functions, right? So how the work order management system functions, right? So these sort of understanding in context to the functional skills, which being a business analyst working for telecom sector, you must be good with. Next, business process, because understanding the business process is also required. So to understand the business process and all that, you need to create some process flows. You need to create some workflows. Uh, at the same time, if in addition to that, some organizations may be asking to have a knowledge over some BPM tools, some business process management tools and all that. Any one tool, because there are two tools available. Two tools are prominent. Of course, there are many other tools as well, but in context to the BPM tools, as an example, I can give one is about Pega, and second is all about APM, right? So these are the two different business process management tools which normally used to understand the business process from the technical perspective. So more I be focusing more on the Appian part, because I had that experience in context to the Appian earlier. In context to Appian business process management, I have posted few of my class sessions in my channel as well earlier. You can go through that. Right. So I'll forward some links also to you in below to this class. I'll forward some links to you so that you can go through, because I think some few of the people have gone through my YouTube and I came, right? So enrolled for that. So in context to that, I'm saying this, right? So you can go through that. At the same time, when it comes to the Appian part, Appian or Pega, whatever, any one I can say, right? So I don't prefer you to have both. If you have, then it is different, right? So that's of your personal choice. Otherwise, any well tool is something required, some BPM tool, so that to understand about process flows, workflows, and all. So these are the different things which normally you need to have. So one is about business analyst skills. Second, about the functional skills. At the same time, technical skills are required even. Functional skills required. At the same time, business process is also one of the key and prominent element you must be good with. So followed by that, when you are being a business analyst, as you guys know, because we have to prepare some BRDs, you have to prepare some SRS document or functional and non-functional requirements documents. Right. So preparing some functional and non-functional documents. There are templates available in the industry because, of course, I'll provide you some templates to you. Because to have some hands-on experience in context to that, I'm going to give you the case study wherein you need to work on this BRD, SRS, functional requirements and all everything on that. Okay, that is one thing. At the same time, you need to prepare some use cases and test cases. Right. So use cases and test cases, I have my own templates which is available with me, so I can give you. But when you are coming up with an agile environment and all, to write test cases and all, there is a tool called Jiffer. So wherein I'll be showing you on Jiffer how to create test cases and all that. I'm talking about manual part, manual testing, not automation. Okay, because test cases and all everything comes under manual part of it. Next, we need to write. You need to have a knowledge of epics and user stories. To create epics and user stories and all, normally we use Jira tool. So Jira is one of the tool which normally we use it. At the same time, to create some UML diagrams, because some use case diagrams, at the same time, SQL diagrams and all, everything we use. So further, the kind of tool we are going to use is called star UML is what something we are using. Or else if you want to create any kind of wireframes, or you want to create any kind of mockups and all, there is a tool called Balsamiq, which normally we use it. Right, so these are the different tools, right? So these are the different tools as part of requirements communication. Being a business analyst, you are using. So this is not, I'm not specifying this as a telecom sector, because it's even though it's not a telecom domain, even being a business analyst, whenever we are working on other domains or a technical BA, so whatever the tools we are using, either it can be Jira or it can be Rally or it can be Azure DevOps, because depends on the organization to organization that vary. Or else to prepare UML diagrams and all using Star UML, Visio, Lucid charts, all that. At the same time, to create some wireframes and mockups and all that, whatever the Balsamiq tool are we going to use. So these are the different tools apart from the knowledge areas, because if you want to perform an activity as being a business analyst in the knowledge areas perspective, this is what something which you must be good with. Because how you are going to communicate, let's say, because you are reaching to the masses, you want to communicate requirements to n number of people. How do you communicate? You cannot communicate orally, right? So that you need to follow two processes. Either you follow documentation process in the understanding of SDLC process, because in context to the technical skills, as you are a BA from the technical side, you are developing some technical solution, you must provide them to have a knowledge over SDLC process, software development lifecycle. You must be aware of it. At the same time, if you are following waterfall model in your application development in solution perspective, you prepare BRDs, all that you will be preparing, and you using UML to prepare visual flows, all that. But when it comes to the agile and all that, instead of documents and all, we are preparing epics and user stories using Jira and other tools. So that this is one way of requirements communication, I can say. So this is what generally you will be learning. So when it comes to the role of a business analyst, because regular business analyst remains constant, because whoever has already has some experience over business analyst and all, okay, fine. But I could see many of the people who are enrolled, right? So they were new to business analyst even. So first of all, we need to know about the knowledge areas of BA for sure. That is required. To have some hands-on exposure and all that. So working on some case studies also something inevitable to understand with. So followed by this, you need to have a knowledge over a telecom sector, which I have explained about TCIPs or work order management, all that stuff. This is all something which you will be learning from the next sessions onwards. At the same time, when you talk about the business process, of course, that is optional because complete understanding over BPM tool is not something required. Okay, because you are a business analyst, wherein you as a business analyst, when you are using any kind of BPM tool and all that, so you will be knowing about how to create workflows and all, as I stated some time back. That's what something which you will be learning, right? So that's what something which you will be learning. Right. So this is all about business analyst in context to the telecom sector or telecom domain perspective, which is what being a BA, you will be doing it. This is all about session for today. We meet tomorrow and we discuss more further on this. Okay. Thank you.